Prosecutors have arraigned 5 men before the Federal High Court in Abuja over the June 5, 2022 attack on St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church in Ondo State, a massacre that claimed more than 40 lives and wounded over 100 worshippers. The accused Idris Omirza, Al-Qasim Idris, Jamu Abdulmalik, Abdullah Halim Idris, all in their 20s, and Momo Otuho Abubakar, who's 47, have pleaded not guilty to 9 terrorism-related charges under Nigeria's Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. Now, prosecutors allege that they were part of an Al-Shabaab cell based in Kogi State and plotted the attack using explosives and AK-47 rifles. The trial is set to begin on August the 19th. With us now is our correspondent, James Lyamgohn in Nigeria. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Jonathan, for our listeners who might not remember all of the details, can you briefly recount what happened on June the 22nd on this Owa Church attack?
So it was on what seemed earlier like a regular Sunday, and worshippers in this town, which is in southwest Nigeria, about 5 hours or thereabouts from Lagos. People had gathered. It was about first Sunday of the month, and typically that will, in many churches locally, it would be the time for a couple of things like Thanksgiving and some other forms of extra celebrations. And on this particular day, while the worshippers were in this Catholic church, all of a sudden there was a loud explosion and gunfire, and a lot of people were shot. And by the end of that, what has been described as an Owo massacre, by the end of that, about 40 people had been killed, and no fewer than 100 people had been severely injured. And everyone was outraged because in this part of the country, that hasn't been a common occurrence, unlike what has been recorded in some parts of the north of Nigeria. So that indeed surprised a lot of people, and many people expressed their anger and seeking for government to do something. At the time, the then Pope Francis condemned the attack, and also the then President Muhammadu Buhari condemned the attack. And many people believe that it was just going to be just that, because that is typical of what is always witnessed in Nigeria when such attacks happen. There'll be condemnations, but there'll be no retributions. So many people had, quite frankly, gone to sleep to say it will be business as usual. So by the time the announcement of the arraignment came, not too many believed it. And when they eventually were docked yesterday before Justice Nwite, it seemed a bit quite a surprise, because not always do we get to see such arraignments with terrorism-related cases in Nigeria. And to hear in particular that these suspects were now being suspected to be linked to Al-Shabaab, that seemed also a rather much new twist of things, because earlier they were accused of being linked to the Islamic State in West Africa. Peter?
So the suspects have been charged under Nigeria's updated terrorism legislation. Can you explain what the charges are that they're facing, and also what this act, the significance of this new act, and how terror cases are being prosecuted now?
Well, the charges they've been arraigned on 9 counts bordering on terrorism. And it is being waited to see how far-reaching that will go, because up until the more recent terrorism law in Nigeria, one of the things that the military, especially, for instance, has said they've struggled with is the laws are not extensive enough. So when they do take up or when they do pick up suspects, they find it hard to be able to fully prosecute them. So top amongst the charges is them killing people, and we're waiting to see the full detail as regards what these how the trial is going to go, because there really isn't so much precedence. And you can see that in this particular case, it's taking a little over 3 years to come to this point. Peter?
So, do we know what the key next steps are as this trial gets underway? What might we expect as the case unfolds?
Yeah, so the judge adjourned once they took their plea and they all pleaded not guilty. The judge adjourned the trial till 19th of this month, and one of the things that was a bit surprising was their own lawyer didn't contest the adjournment and didn't contest much. He only just requested that it is important that he would want for the Department of State Security Services, that's the DSS, to allow for the lawyers to be able to have access to their clients and for their families to have access to them. One of the things that is very important to note is that the Nigerian state is prosecuting this case via the Department of State Security Services. You don't often hear so much from them. They are the internal covert service that is being tasked with the protection of the state and the leadership of the state in the country. They have been very notorious for sometimes themselves not obeying court orders. So whenever they are seen going to court, many are somewhat sometimes surprised and sometimes keep their fingers crossed to see how things will go, especially in this particular case, as this involves terrorism being the subject matter of the trial. But until August the 19th, when they will be fully arraigned for the trial to start, we're keeping tabs to see how things unfold.
What can you tell us about the investigation itself? Court records suggest that the suspects joined Al Shabaab in 2021 and held planning meetings in Kogi and Ondo before the attack. What do we know, and how were these links established? Do we know?
That pretty much is about what we have
Mm.
learned so far. The Department of State Security Services is very always very they keep their details and information to themselves. Yes, all of what you have stated, they explain that this young men did join Al Shabaab and they've had all these meetings. And like I said earlier, Peter, it just remains quite a very
Mm.
strange development. We have had cases of Islamic State in West Africa. We have had a few other extremist groups that have come up in Nigeria, but this is one of the very more peculiar instances where we're seeing a connection with Al Shabaab. And I spoke to about two security experts who have followed cases of terrorism, and they say they do not have the recollection of in recent times of a strong connection between this. In fact, even at the time, Nigeria's then defense chief did say that the suspects they believed were linked to Islamic State in West Africa. But to now get the twist that Al Shabaab is involved sends quite a lot of scare down a lot of the spine of Nigerians to say, are you saying Al Shabaab has come into West Africa? Are you saying Al Shabaab has got an organized presence in Nigeria? And how come these meetings have gone unchecked, unnoticed, and it is only after the attacks that Nigeria has been able to apprehend? But on another note, some people say, well, for a change, they are even thankful that this particular arrests have been done and investigations are being done, and we're now even hearing certain details. This is unprecedented.
Has Al-Shabaab actually taken responsibility? In the past, most of these terror groups want people to know that they were responsible and why. Has any group claimed responsibility for these attacks?
In this particular incident, no. At the time, when many thought it was Islamic State, they didn't claim responsibility. And once word got out that it was Al Shabaab, strangely and quite unlike Al Shabaab, who you know how it is, especially in East Africa where a lot of the attacks happen, they celebrate and claim responsibility over such attacks. In this particular case, there wasn't any such. So that again has made people to wonder how really, really far-reaching and how true the connection is.
How has the community in Owo and the victims' families reacted to latest developments?
The not none has that from my monitoring, I haven't seen any official reaction, but the Ondo State government did say that, which is the state where our town is. They indeed expressed happiness that the trial has started, and at the time when the suspects were apprehended, the community was happy that yes, indeed faces had been put to this, and they said they hope to see that these trials go fully well on. The governor at the time of the state had strongly said that they will do any and everything within their reach to ensure that suspects were apprehended. Unfortunately, he has passed now and is no longer here with us. But certainly, this brings a relief to the people of the town. And it's a very historical town that is famed for having some of Nigeria's seasoned arts and entertainment figures.
Now,
Peter?
this took place in 2021. It's about 4 years ago now. Have there been any other terror incidents since then?
Yeah, this took place in precisely in June of 2022, and that particular town has not recorded any terror incidents, but we have indeed seen terror escalate in different parts of Nigeria. And President Tinubu, who had campaigned just like his predecessor before him, they had campaigned saying they would bring an end to insecurity in the country. Quite frankly, the government of the day would argue that the incidences of terror and insecurity have gone down. But that will depend on where people who are listening to that statement are based. For many people who are based in north central Nigeria, they would argue because the states of Benue and Plateau State have continued to see heightened insecurity, where on almost a weekly basis, the cases of mass attacks on poor local communities still continue to happen. So we have witnessed quite a lot of terror attacks since this particular war incident, but none in the southwest of Nigeria has been of this scale.
Jonathan, we're going to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed for that update.
Thank you, Peter, and have a nice day.
Thank you. That's Jonathan.